I'd like to start talking about the architectural behaviorology, which is also the title of the book published in 2000. It's about it's a monograph of Atri Bauer's work, including design practice and urban research and public space intervention in the framework of art exhibitions. And in this book, we discuss the behavior from basically on three different type of behavior which architectural thought is always how to say examining. So the first one is nature, light, wind, heat, humidity, and many things, trees and animals also. Nature behaves according to the natural disciplines, and of course human also human behavior. It's it's a more cultural and it's a habit. And then the third one is building. Building also behave, but it sounds strange because building doesn't move. But if you see the city in a larger time scale, like 50 years, 100 years, you can observe the gradual move of the buildings or replacement of the one part to the another part, or replacement of the building into something new. And then also if you go to the different city, you can find very specific elements or character of the building, which is repeated many times in the same street or entire city area. And it's creates, normally we call it typology or architectural language. And so those are also considered as behavior. So in that sense, behavior is something totally up to the time scale you take. So even in the natural behavior, the result of the observation of natural behavior within 3 hours or 1 week or 1 year is all different. So for example, in Eastern Asian country, we already have a typhoon at the end of the summer. This year we had 23 typhoon. Some of them really gave big damage on some part of Japan, but it's kind of seasonal behavior of the climate. So it's a kind of annual 1 year. You need 1 year to observe it. But the rise of the temperature in the room with a direct sun from the window, you can observe the rise of the temperature maybe 1 to 3 degrees in few hours, 3 hours. Human behavior might also differ from the time scale. Everyday time scale, like we wake up in the morning and then have breakfast and go to school or office and then have lunch and then sometimes go to bathrooms and then work or study and then have coffee and then become really tired and then hungry and then go back to the home and then have dinner or supper and sleep and then wake up again in the morning and of course we take shower or take a bath. Yeah. But this is the daily behavior, but the weekly behavior, for example, we don't work in the weekend. Or annual behavior. As annual behavior, we know the many festival in different place. Local festival. It's an annual behavior of the people, and architecture is something which is synchronizing all these different behavior brought by different agents in one physical entity. And then because sometimes they contradict each other, but through the spatial setting, or physical setting, we can somehow manage the coexistence or of those different behavior in one place and at the same time. And then this is not just the addition of the different behavior, so it's a kind of coordination. So then we can create, I believe that in this coordination of different behavior, there is intelligence of architecture. And so based on, we developed behaviorology in many ways, and we also studied on windows, because window is the element, architecture element which gathers most diverse behavior in the building. And so, but also we are very interested in the behavior of the people who appropriate the open space in the city to create very good convivial quality of public space. And in this book, we studied the appropriation of the the space by people's behavior. This one is in Copenhagen. People are sitting on the sidewalk. It's on the bridge actually, and watching the sunset. And then many of them are leaning on the stone balustrade. So it looks like this. And it was summer in September, so it's a bit chilly in the late afternoon. So people on the bike have already they already wear the jacket. But people on the sidewalk, they are not. They still wear like summer, and it's because they are enjoying also the heat, which it's radiating from the stone balustrade, which is absorbed during the afternoon by direct sun. And so it's a very simple synchronicity of the behavior of the heat discovered by people, and then people react. People behave according to this, following this heat behavior, and then some behavior which is setting down. They occupy this space with very, how to say, simultaneous way. So no one asks them to come and do something together. So they naturally come here and then enjoy the space and then time. So in Japan, during the at the end of March, beginning of April, we enjoy the cherry blossom. I'm sorry, the drawing is not so clear, but yeah, this is a drawing in the book of commonalities, and so people naturally go out from the house with their drinks and meals, and enjoy under the cherry blossom. So this is also the synchronicity of annual behavior of the cherry, and the daily behavior of the people drinking and eating. But the importance is the timing, and then sharing the moment, and to appreciate the arrival of the spring. So this gathering is also very spontaneous gathering. No one asks them to come and then start drinking together, but they know how to behave in this season, and they all prepare their meals and drinks and bring under the cherry blossom and then appreciate it. And cherry doesn't blossom only in Japan. I saw many cherry blossoming in different countries, but I don't see the people drinking and eating under it. So it means Japanese people know how to behave. This is also the skill to enjoy the cherry, which is a kind of local resources. And it's the very famous, the oldest, how to say, the report or the record of of a big hanami party was dated from 15th century. The Hideyoshi, the one of the very early shogun before Edo period, he organized a huge tea party under the cherry blossom. So we Japanese have trained ourselves and then inherit the skills of enjoying the cherry blossoming from generation to generation. And so this kind of repetition, and it's a very important. I didn't say this. The one of the important character of behavior. Behavior is something repetitive. It's repeat again and again and again when the condition is set. So in that sense, it's a fertile resource which architectural design can deal with. And since it is fertile and then abundant, so you can't really monopolize the behavior by yourself. It is always shared with others. And so because if you think about the commonality of architecture, commonalities in architecture design, the behavior is a quite important resources to start as a starting point. Okay, then this is in Barcelona, in rocket, the rail rocket. It's up on the hill, and recently, maybe 5-6 years ago, the new square was built on the roof of a metro station. And the view towards Barcelona is astonishing. It's very beautiful, and then there are interesting gathering of the people. I will explain later. So the area looks like this. First time I visited there, it reminds me of the town of the hill town of Andalusia. And then it's because this area is built by the immigrants from Andalusia during 1930s, and then they work on the construction site and brought the bricks in their pockets of the jacket, and then they built their own house on the hillside in the weekend. So it's a kind of self-built construction, and on the hilly topography. So naturally, it looks like Andalusia, and so this new square looks like this. So on the side of the Barcelona view, there is a very sharp steel handrail, but there is no one. And then the other side, there are many guys gathering and chatting. And what are they doing is they all bring the bird cage from their house, and then let them sun tongue, I don't know, or sunbathing, and enjoy the thing of birds and feather of birds. So this is a hobby of the guys of Andalusia. But I think the architect who designed this square didn't know this kind of behavior of the local community, and if the architect could consider this behavior blossom in a much more sophisticated way, I think they could make something here to put the bird cage and then enjoy the view to the Barcelona and birds together. But unfortunately, the architect didn't know that or ignored this kind of behavior, which could be very important resources to design the public space for this community. And so I think that this is how to say, yeah, we can learn a lot from this type of phenomena. Okay, I skip this Galata Bridge. Yeah, and then so I like to explain to show some projects based on this behavior of the people appropriate the open space in the city with small assistance of architecture. And the first one is BMW Guggenheim Lab. We built in, yeah, it's a temporary structure traveling from one place to another place from different cities. And it's, yeah, the program is it's too many, and it's built in, yeah, we did it in 2011. Also, if we fulfill all the programs required from the given from the Guggenheim, we needed 1,500 square meter. But the property in New York, the first venue was New York, was very limited. Yeah, in New York, the venue its venue was very limited. The venue we found, interesting, is quite small. It was like this kind of the gap space between building, and it was just 500 square meter here. But connected with a community garden. And so at the beginning, the curators imagined some sort of alternative gallery space because they are from a museum. But I proposed them to change a metaphor from the art space or gallery space into theater, because there are so many different programs happening, and it's not a good idea to give all the program different space, and then we need another floor, and then we need elevators or slopes, and then I think it's totally destroyed. It's really consumes the space. So I said, okay, ground level is all free, and then the loft space, flying loft, hovering over the ground. So we cut this stage and fly loft, and then insert in the city. So the structure is, so all the equipments are suspended from above, and then you can pull them down to change the program on the ground level. And then ground level is totally accessible for anyone, and it's all free. And then based on this idea, they actually they could the curator could really imagine what the Guggenheim Lab is, and it became a kind of time-based program. So they started to make a schedule from morning to the evening, from Monday to Sunday, and then it became very it makes sense a lot. Yes. So this is how it looks like, and so this is just a public passage when there is no program, and you can go from this side. This is a fast street towards Houston Avenue, and there in front of the Houston Avenue there is a community garden. And then sometimes we put the chairs for the lecture. They are all stored in this cage. And sometimes we bring this, we pull down this kind of seats for the cinema, film screening. This is a catwalk. This is only accessible for the staff. This is the scene of the workshop, and then a workshop, and then this is a game, which is designed by the thinkers, invited by the lab. Yeah, yes, dog also can come, yeah. Of course. And then we brought this structure to Berlin. It's a very light structure made of carbon fiber, and you don't really feel the weight, although it is flying over your head. In Berlin, we have the wider space in the neighborhood, in the very nice neighborhood, in the courtyard of the Iro. And the program, the theme are all different in different cities. In New York, the theme was confronting comfort. So it's questioning how the network to produce your comfort. And then, but sometimes this network might produce uncomfort to others. So, but today's network is very large, and then we don't see all the end. We don't know which actors are involved in this network. So, and sometimes our comfort can produce someone's uncomfort. This is the topic. And then in Berlin, how the theme was make. How much make can change the city? Make means do it yourself or hands-on. So rather than receiving the service from industrial network, you do your things by yourself with the available resources you can get from your environment. So there are many workshops happened. And then the third venue was Mumbai, but we ran out the budget. As the budget was run out at that moment, and then we were asked to redesign the lab with local material and local craftsmen. So we went to Mumbai and started the investigation and found this bamboo structure, which is temporal structure, which is called mandapa. Mainly, it's utilized for the wedding palace, construction of the wedding palace in the dry season. And this wedding palace is huge, it's like 1,000 square meter with a roof, only wall, cladded by very colorful textiles. And during the wedding party, you can invite anyone walking on the street. It's not necessarily the relatives, friends. The ones who pass in front of the wedding palace are involved in the wedding in order to celebrate. So I found it quite interesting. And of course, it is not self-sufficient structure. It's always, attached to the existing structure in the city. But our venue was in the backyard garden of National Museum with many trees, which is also protected. So we can't really touch anything. So our structure must be self-sufficient. So we started the many different type of joint, learning from the traditional way of bundling the bamboos with latans and etc. And then, so this is the system. So it should be pop up in a day, and because there are two labs. One is a mother lab built in this backyard garden of the museum, but the other one is traveling one, much simpler one, I-shape. Because in Mumbai, social segregation is beyond our imagination, beyond our understanding. So the people who are living in the poor district can't move, can't commute to enjoy the program in the Guggenheim Lab in the museum district. So then we decided to move our structure to the poor neighborhood, stays for a week, and then move to 3 different village. And so, because why it should be easily pop up and dismantled. So the structure is articulated by this column unit, one column unit, and then it is bundled here, and it is supported by the foundation, which is a steel box with sand inside. It's enough heavy. And then these column units are connected by the prefabricated truss beam. This is also prefabricated. Yeah. So the left one is mother lab, and the right one is traveling one. So this is a system. This is a column unit, and this is a foundation. It's a very silent construction, so we don't need any machine. So it's all built by hand with ladders and no hammer, no drill. So it's very silent. So yeah, the final appearance was like this. Yeah, it looks like New York and Berlin lab, although it is totally different structure. But it's a request from the Guggenheim, so we really want to keep this idea of flying loft, flying tool. They prefer to call flying toolbox. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. In Mumbai, the topic was about infrastructure and how infrastructure can bring the happiness to our life. But in many cases, infrastructure brings convenience, but same time it's also produce pollutions and it's also damage the landscape, and so it's also a contradiction. There is many contradiction in Mumbai. So many thinkers were invited to discuss about these issues. Yeah, this is one of the scene of the traveling one, doing a performance, music performance in the lab, inviting the local community peoples. And this is kids' night. Yeah. I didn't go there. In this moment, I wasn't there, so I don't know what he's really talking about. But it looks nice, huh? Yeah. Okay. And then last year we built a Canal Swimmers Club in Bruges for Bruges Triennale. And it's also about the accessibility to the local resources, and then also about the skills of the people, which can appropriate the open space in the city. It's Bruges. It's a kind of egg-like city encircled by the canal. It used to be international port until 14th century, and they brought the ship from the ocean through this river, which were excavated by the huge tsunami during 12th century. They transformed this river into larger canal by utilizing this tsunami, and then made Bruges as a port city. But since the size of the ship became larger and larger, so they already stopped doing this kind of import-export business at the end of the 13th century. But at that time, they were already established the stock market. So they change their business from the trade to they keep trading, but without goods. They just use the stock to exchange things and money. Until 1970s, the canal was swimmable, and so it's 1976, and every year in summer there were kind of a contest of swimming in the canal, and people also enjoyed jumping into the water. But 1977 they stopped doing it because government prohibited to swim. Why? Because the water quality was very bad. It was polluted by the new modern way of life. They use more, how to say, I don't know how to call this, cleaner soaps, yeah? Chemical soaps, yeah? And so this is a clear example that the industrialization of our lifestyle produced the barrier between people and the local resources. So the pollution of the water produced by people or with the assistance of industrialization made a barrier between people and local water, which is a canal. But now the water quality is much improved by the because they also improved the sewage system, and so at the opportunity of Art Triennale, city wanted to open the canal again for swimmers. This is a site, and then nowadays now the canal is just utilized for the tourist boat, and then there is a big platanus tree which is we can't cut, and then there is tiny little plants on the stone dike, and it's also protected by the city because it's evidence of that the Bruges was international port. It's not indigenous plants. It's from Latin America, South America. So by protecting these plants, they can say that the Bruges was international port. Yeah. And then we proposed to make a floating platform or to create better accessibility to the water, and then some shadows on it. Actually, the project is not started as we are not asked to design this from the beginning. So we were just invited as one of the architects who expected to make something in the city for the Triennale. And then on one day, I walked with the local architect who grew up in the city, and who is also playing a role of a project manager of many different projects in Triennale. So he explained me the history of the city, and then on the way above on this bridge, he started to talk about swimming. And then I asked him, who is going to design the platform on the water? And he said, if no one doesn't make it, I will design it. So I said, no, it's me, it's Bawa who is going to make it. Please give us this project. So, and then this becomes our project, our exhibit for the Triennale. So, and then, so pontoon, okay. So it's like this. So they are, the city said at first, only this part is swimmable because this part, sometimes boat can come, so it's dangerous. But actually, we don't have the barrier here, so we can also jump from here. So this is the May 20, the day of the opening. Very sunny, very nice, but still very cold. The water was temperature was 11 degree, and yeah. But for me, it's quite important to show how to show the appropriation of the water surface by swimming, by our bodies. So I and the local architects and then all the staff, yes, try to swim in this very cold water as a kind of celebration, yeah, for the opening, yeah. And then this is August 1st. So now it's more okay. People really enjoy sunbathing and then swimming. During the end of June was terribly hot, and then it was it's full of people. August 1st, many citizens are not in the city, so they are in the vacations. So it's a little bit less crowded, but people really like this work because the people who used to swim in 1970s, they were teenagers or the early 20s. So it means they are now, it's 40 years ago. So they could be late 50 or early 60s. So here there are many, I saw many different generations, like the grandfather and mother bring grandson and teach swimming in the canal. So it's a quite nice space of teaching and learning, mutual teaching and learning of the skills of swimming. So the local resource is the water, and then we need skill to enjoy it, to transform this water into the resources. And then, but during 20th century, the industrialization or modernization made many barriers between people and these local resources. And then this project tried to resolve it. And it's a kind of encounter of local resource and skills, and then create a public space. And so, another project is Kitamoto Face project. It's a redesigning of of Station Square, which was built 40 years ago in 1970s. And at that time, the trends of designing the Station Square was totally traffic-oriented. So they imagined that in the future there are more cars and then people will drive more than that period, they imagined. So they made a huge asphalt surface for the, this is 2075 when the square was built. So it's here. I'm sorry, it's not clear. But so the city is 45 kilometers away from Tokyo. It's a typical satellite city, which was which received many migrants during 60s and 70s, but they didn't really grow as expected. So, but yeah, okay. So the square was like this. So it's very empty, and in front of the station there is a car parking and taxi drivers waiting, and with a very, how to say, rude gesture. And yeah. So the project is to redesign this square as a kind of face of the city, because this is a demographic pattern of the city. It's typical Japanese satellite city. this is a baby boomers who moved into this city during 50s and during 60s and 70s. So there are social the development of housing, and then also the development of detached houses, residential area. So they all, yeah, and then this is a baby boomer, no, junior baby boomers, but it's shrinking like this. So after 5 years, so when we started this project, it was 2008, and then we could imagine from this demographic pattern that in 5 years the city will lose the taxpayer a lot because they are going to retire soon. So then after the retirement, what are they doing in this city? So they always commute from this city to Tokyo, and then the behavior of the people in front of the station is totally governed by the rhythm of the company, of the working time of Tokyo. So this is how to change this rhythm, and then how to create a kind of a meeting place for the people in living in this city is the kind of challenge for this project. And so there are quite nice resources. So this green is forest, and yellow is farm, red is orchard. And then in the center of the town, there is a railway track running. So it used to be, this is a fast street, which was which brought a kind of civilization in this area. And then the next one was like this. And then the railway track was finally introduced in 20th century. And then this, from the station, this white part is a residential area, which used to be all farms and forest. But they still have this kind of a forest in the city, especially along the railway track and river. So they have quite nice natural resources, which is accessible in the proximity to their living condition. And then the project was, this is a team, yeah. Since it is a kind of a community management project, town management project, we ask the city to hire the project manager from Bawao. So we send one staff to the city, and then he became a city staff, and he was paid by the city. But he stays all the day in the city, and then informed us what is happening in the city. And then he drank many local people, and then we create a kind of network. And through him, we can meet. We could meet many interesting people in the city. And in the structure, we always try to involve our students from Tsukuba University and Tokyo Tech, and then also the designers. Yeah, okay. And then one of the characteristics of this project is the meeting structure. So we started the planning meeting in 2008 with the city staff. As a kind of professional meeting, but then soon later, 2009, we split the meeting into two. One is making meeting, still again with the professionals, but using meeting with citizens. And we organize workshop and social experiment, and then it becomes town planning caravan. And we continue this making meeting and using meeting parallelly, and then each meeting had a feedback between each other, and then the proportion of the meeting, the time is shifting like this. So at first, making meeting is more important, but at the end, using meeting it became very important, and. So this is the first workshop we did in front of the station. We just made this kind of a tent and then asking people to draw the future of the city square. And then many citizens drew the forest. Okay, let's make it. Yeah, okay, forest is quite conscious. People are very conscious that this city is characterized by the forest in the city. And then we tested open cafe, info kiosk, universal design. So we borrow the wheelchair and then also the gips to simulate the movement of the disabled people, and then checking all the gaps and the height difference in the square. And then we also put the bench and made ask local shop owners to open the market as a kind of a social experiment. So those things might be expected to happen in the future. So in this new square, because for a long time the square is just empty for cars, and people don't know how to behave in these squares. So we have to learn from the people how much they can do by themselves. But at the same time, we should also encourage them to appropriate public space by themselves, by their skills and by their behaviors. And I'm sorry, the graphic is not beautiful, but we tested many patterns. And then finally, we found this triangle rotary. This is the original one, and then this is a built one. So triangle, because there are only 3 different types of cars. One is a bus, and then the other is taxi, and then the last one is a family car. So many wives drive the car in the morning and then in the evening to pick up or to drop off the kids and husband in front of the station, and then they go. So that's all. What was happening in this square was only that kind of behavior. So we tried to minimize the asphalt for the traffic in order to produce open multi-purpose space. So then we organize, and then in the group of people, citizens, some citizens are always against with this project because they are basically against the mayor. And then the project is initiated by the mayor. So every proposal from our side is always criticized by this group of people. And then one day they said, oh, this triangle square rotary must produce a traffic jam. Okay, let's test it. So we made a kind of a little bit small version of triangle rotary, and then asking bus company and taxis and the family car to drive together to test how much this shape might produce traffic jam. And then it's okay. It's very smooth. The main problem was, because the main problem of the traffic jam was you don't see it, but there is a zebra. Zebra is, you know zebra? Zebra passing through, yeah? It's not animal, no? Yeah? Passing through the square. So it's always stopped the flux of the car and then produced the traffic jam. So in order to avoid this zebra, we made this triangle shape. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we found a very nice designer who established the cafe and the craft shop. So through him, we organized also the market of the crafts. And then there is a group of the NGO group who maintain this forest to make it much open, to accessible for public. And then the way to manage the tree is quite interesting. This type of tree with broad leaves, the leaves all falls in the autumn. In order to keep the same phase of the forest, the tree have to be cut in every 20 to 30 years. So it's it's totally different reason that Kitamoto's Station Square was governed. So we decided to bring this type of managed trees by this NGO group in front of the station. Yeah, those trees are brought from the local forest. Yeah, and then we are one of the very important requirement was to make roof in order to the people to walk from the car to the station without the umbrella in the rainy day. But we thought it's better to design this as a kind of a city loggia. Like, yeah, in city lodges, there are many good examples in the world. So I really like to make this type of space by giving much larger dimensions. And then this is a town-managed caravan. Yeah, this is one of the scenes when many different type of citizens gather and discuss about annual program of the square. He's a professor of Tsukuba University. He's a sweet shop owner, and he's a high school student, and he's a shop owner designer, city staff, NGO staff, and many people are gathering and then discussing about what it, huh? Yeah? Local wife, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know how to express in English. Okay. And then every time after the meeting, or during the meeting, the students of Momoyo start draw on the big paper as a kind of minutes of the meeting. And then next meeting, they made a much, how do you say, better one, and then show to the citizen people to discuss again, or how to revisit the last discussion we had. And then, for example, who is going, this is the idea to bring the Christmas tree from different family house to decorate the square in the Christmas season. Yeah? And then also put the light on the trees in the square, and then bring the chorus group to sing, and then markets and etc. And then, for example, the discussion is who is in charge of bringing these small Christmas tree from different family homes, and then, but since there are so many different type of people, there are someone who can do that. So it's a kind of a share of different skills. If you are only one person, it's impossible to do that. But as a collective, it's possible. So, for example, one day we discussed as there is a charisma tomato producer in this city. I asked him, why don't you sell your tomato in front of the station? And he said, during the summer I'm so busy, I can't bring my tomato to in front of the station. And then I don't have time to do it. And then high school students said, oh, we can do that. We really like to sell the tomato in front of the station. But we don't have a car, so who can bring the tomato? And then the liquor shop owner, I'm always driving in the city, delivering the beers and the wines and sake in different families. So I can bring a tomato from your farm to the station. So it's a kind of collaboration between different skills and different, yeah, and to make a kind of collective event or performance, yeah, happens in front of the station. Yeah. Yeah, it's now it's finished in 2011. Yeah. No, 2012. Yeah. And we are using a meeting. Oh yeah, these trees are transplanted from the forest. The using meeting now transformed its name. Now it becomes a kind of association of tourism. Yeah, something like that. And then they keep on doing the conversation and then also producing the kind of small events about collecting different skills of the citizens. This bench is to wait for the bus, but actually those people who are always sitting there, they are not waiting for bus. They are waiting someone who come out from the bus and then hunt them and then start chatting. So it's a very interesting behavior. Yeah. So the seating is it's crowded by the Japanese cedar, and then lighting is quite sophisticated. It's very hidden. It's very limited, and then just lighting the edge of the street and sidewalk. Okay. I have more. Can I continue? Yeah. Okay. So the resource, the title was creating better accessibility to the local resources. Yes, among people there are also barriers because of the jobs, because of the different rhythms of life, and then so they have interesting skills, but they can't really utilize each other those skills in the city. And so skills is also quite important resources, which we should really focus. But and then I like the next project is about wood in Japan. So this is a map of the area where when the big tsunami swallowed. And we worked on one of the peninsula, Oshika Peninsula, with the group of architects called ArchiAid. We formed the volunteer network of architects to help the recovery from the tsunami. There are 28 villages in the deep inside of the bay. They are all hit by tsunami, and almost 90% of the village were destroyed. So it looks like this. And and then they had the community was already very much aged, so there are not so many young generation who wants to stay in the village. They all move out before the tsunami. So but then we went there, start talking with local, the village people about their life, because the town was totally, the village was totally gone. We just see the debris. We see the mountains and water and the sea, but we don't see the village, so we can't guess how was the life here. So we start just asking the life and the business and the relationship with the natures and worships and etc. It's totally it's like ethnographical field work. So as an architect, I'm very interested in vernacular architecture, but this is a really first time that I really work as a kind of ethnographer to listen the voices of the people and to construct the image of the village again with some new hope, new proposition based on the wish of the people. Anyway, she's Momoyo, my partner. Okay. So this is a typical scene. So we visited the damaged village together with local people. One of the main purpose of this field survey was to find the best place to make a new residential area up on the hill, because the government have already decided at that moment to produce the residential area on the roof on the hill they promise that government will pay all to create a kind of a property, and then the village people who wants to come back to live again in this village can buy or can borrow the land free for 30 years. So many elderly people, they just borrow the land for 30 years without paying any money. But the size is of course limited, and then the height is also defined. It should be higher than the tsunami, the level that tsunami hit. So in this village, it should be beyond 22 meters high from the sea level. So, and then if you go into the mountain, there are many cedar trees, which were planted during 1970s under the policy, central government policy to change too much rice production into the timber production. They gave the farmers, the fishermen, actually in this kind of small village, they are not only fishermen. The main business is fishing, but they also have farms, rice pod, and they also grow trees. So they do many things. And but nowadays those forests are unmanaged because after in 1984, Japan had agreement with United States and other countries which is called Plaza Agreement, to change the rate and then also the custom, the tax system, etc., in order to reduce the too much export from Japan to United States. Yeah. So yeah, that moment, I saw many TV news that the factory worker in Detroit smashed Toyota on the street, and then put fire, and then it was a kind of a rage from the unemployed, fired factory workers of Ford and General Motors and etc. So it was really very, how to say, serious issue. So government decided to open the market of timber, and then so the timber from North America became extremely cheap from that moment. And then those the trees which is planted in the mountainous hilly area, it's very difficult to compete against this imported timber. So because why it is unmanaged. But before 1984, until 1980s, all those houses were built by the timber from their mountain, from their forest. So the community went to the forest and then cut trees and then brought them back, and then the process, and then local carpenter built the house based on the typical the fisherman's house typology. They all are very similar, but they are very proud of this typology. They said, "Oh, professor, you don't need to design the house because we know what house is. So this is quite nice for me." And then all the study, the field survey, listening the voice of the village people, resulted this kind of drawings by hand, because there are no electricity in the camp where we installed, so we couldn't make we couldn't bring the printers, and so okay, let's draw by hands. So we started to draw everything by hands, and based on the stories told by fishermen. And this drawing is a kind of future vision of this village. Yeah, here it's a new residential area up on the hill, and then the lower part, which is now prohibited to build houses, now it's considered to become a kind of a civil facility to receive tourists, for example. But during this process, we also realized that the number of community members who wants to come back to the village decreasing, because it took so long time to define the place to create this new residential area. So this discouraged local community people, and then they decided to move out from the village. So in order to encourage them, we proposed kind of a very simple small house to imagine the new life in the village. It's called a core house. It means we just built the most important part of the house, and which is bath and kitchen and one room. And then after establishing the small home and then starting business, fishing, they can add more rooms to create a larger one. So and then we also want to recreate the network between local timber and the house construction, because if we don't do that, if we don't propose that, since the house, it says 220,000 houses is missing. So we should make those houses in 5 years. But in this north part of Japan, there are not so many construction companies. Actually, locally, it's impossible to do that. So then many house makers, kind of prefab house, asked to build the houses there. So it's this network, industrialized network, can fulfill the number of the houses, but it really destroys the local network of the construction and the timber management. So we want to make this house, this is the kitchen and the most important part. We want to make this house in a very traditional construction system called itakura, which consumes timber 1.6 times more than the normal wooden construction today. And then it's a very fast construction, because we can make this panel which is inserted between columns in a factory, and and then we can also propose this planning which can allow to extend the house into that way. And then we also design, it's a tiny house, but full of consideration on the life of the fishermen, who wash the clothes twice a day, and then they need always the place for drying the clothes. Sometimes they bring the fishing tools to repair. And then since the population is declining, the building should have a kind of place to demonstrate the number of community people along the street side. So all these considerations are integrated in this small house. We also asked many companies to help our project. So because we made a model at first and then showed to the fishermen, and then they said, I don't know how to understand the model. Please make the real one. And then I and Momoyo decided, okay, let's make the real one. And then we have to really show how cheap is it, and then how much it is affordable. So it's actually we try to make it in a 70,000 US dollar, and for two people it's nice. It's okay. It's a nice beginning. We also sold our drawings and to make money for the construction, but thanks to the many supporters, we could make this house on the next to the damaged temple. This is interior. when you insert this structural element, then interior wall is finished. It's, yeah. So this is the interior space. Yeah. It's a very warm, very wood space. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then we are keep on doing we are keep on tackling these wood issues as a resource issue, and then as also the materials which really tells the barrier established during 20th century between people and local resources. So, so this is a project Koisurubuta Laboratory in the Chiba Prefecture, 100 kilometers away from Tokyo, and it's a beautiful farming area. So the lower part is mainly cultivated for rice paddy, and then up on the hill it's cultivated for sweet potatoes or the long onions and vegetables. And then all the slopey topography is covered by forest. And then these forests are also unmanaged. And then, but at first, I explained this project, Koisurubuta Laboratory. It's a ham and sausage factory and shabu-shabu restaurant of pork to produce a job for disabled people in the community. And yeah, it's like this. It's not clear. The site is surrounded by this unmanaged tree. And it's not beautiful, no? Yeah. This is a restaurant. This is the office of this headquarters of the NGO. Yes, and with this big lodger space to receive the local products, and we also store fire logs. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This NGO group is running elderly homes and daycare center, and then this is one of the big dream to make a place to produce a job for disabled people. So since the process of making ham and sausage is very well articulated, and then one room has only one routine work. So the people with the disability can really concentrate on one type of working, and then they do very well. So, but in order to do that, they have to teach very, very carefully and kindly, and they also have to take care of their health and health conditions. So the lower level, the ground level is a factory, but upper level is for the people who wants to come and enjoy the product of this factory, and also shabu-shabu, pork shabu-shabu. It's a hot pot. No, not hot pot. How can I say? Yeah, this is okay. So this is local vegetables. Yeah, you can. It's the farmers can bring it and then sell, and this is the restaurant. Yeah. So the building is surrounded by the ribbon windows, which always give very nice view towards this forest. This is office space. Yeah. And then after the compression of this building, this NGO group start to also maintain the adjacent forest in order to create a kind of space for enjoyment or the kind of play for the kids. But then many people start to ask them to let them sell, to buy. Many people wanted to buy the fire logs, especially after 2011, when the Fukushima nuclear power plant exploded. The fire log stove became a kind of a trend. Many people wanted to diversify the energy in the house. So the fire log stove became very, very fashionable and trend. So people really looking for the local fire logs, and then they found this place. And then the president of this NGO found this is a great opportunity to create another job for disabled people. So this is a project, and then this project started, Kurimoto Wood Resource Factory. And so this is a typical image of the unmanaged forest. It's dark. It's full of bushes. You can't go in. And but if it's managed, it's more transparent. There are full of lights, and then also the ground is covered by several nice mountain vegetables, so you can also hunt them. And so it could be part of the life, but now it is the resource is there, but it's inaccessible. So this is a typical rice paddy and forest, which is unmanaged. As you see, yeah, okay. So this is a building. It's a very modest building of this factory of producing the fire log, and then also a sweet potato shop, and furniture workshop, and daycare center for the elderly people. So, and then this is a share office who joined this program. Project. And how to the project started from to discuss how to introduce disabled people in the process of forest management. So normally the log is split by axe. It's dangerous. You need a lot of care to do it. It's very difficult to let disabled people to use it. But this president, this NGO group found this splitter as a barrier-free device for disabled people to join the forest management. And then I was really surprised by calling this machine barrier-free device, because in an architectural discussion, barrier-free is always about connecting different levels by ramps and making elevators to create a better accessibility for wheelchair, etc. So we are totally narrowing our point of view about the barrier in the society. And by this professional responsibilities, but it's a part of the industry already. So I'm very interested in this kind of idea of finding the barrier and then tackle them, introducing the barrier-free device. But in order to use this device, we need instruction to the disabled people. So. And then this forest management is not only splitting logs, it's starting from thinning the forest, and then keep more space for each trees, and then bring these logs and chop them, and then peel the skins and the barks, and then split. So there are many processes. And then we try to illustrate all the process, and then found several processes can be affordable for disabled people. So the one with this box is possible for disabled people. And then it was a moment, the project was, the NGO group was working for fundraising of this project. But we have already started this graphic project of creating manuals for the workers. And then I asked my student to work on this project together. And then we learned a lot from this social welfare NGO group who have already established this manual system, and then apply same method into this forest management. Like this is a case of a splitter. And then at first, my students, they are kind of elite students, and then they write a very precise description, instruction how to use it, but with a lot of difficult terms. And then the staff of NGO group said, no, this is impossible to understand for them. It should be more easy manner, easy words. So we have already, this writing also can appear as a barrier between us and disabled people. It's also very refreshing for me. Okay, we are really producing the barrier by ourselves. So, and then finally we made these manuals, several manuals already. And then based on this graphic tools also help the fundraising. So the NGO group brings the models and these kind of manuals to the clients and then explains the project. And then they really understand. And then it's a very good tools to convince the donors. And then we also visited we did the survey of the potential, the ability to process the timber in this region, in this community. There are 3-4 small milling factory which is open but almost closed. So they also have many trees, but most of them are abandoned. So it's difficult to use for construction. So it can be only fire load. Yeah, this small factory is still working, Mr. Miyazawa-san. We became very good friends, and then we always ask him to make a very nice wood panels for our other project. So this network is not necessarily for this project. We can create this network with local skillful people by another small project, like designing the exhibition. Okay, we need table. Can you make the table with this timber, with this log? And then, oh yeah, okay. And then he can split the log in front of us and then make it. So it's very nice. The big earthquake also damaged one of the milling factory, and then they are still like this. They can't really recover. But now I also invite this milling factory to work for this project. And then now they are really motivated. So this is a kind of actor network of the entire project. So our factory is here. The building is here, just here. And then this is the ham and sausage factory just next to it. But in order to achieve this project, we have to bring the supporters from the city area. And then there is a law that the big company which has over 100 people have to hire the disabled people as an employee. But many companies can't do that, so they pay the penalty. So if they can work together with us with this program, they don't need to pay the penalty, but they pay for the project to maintain the forest. And then also we bring the local people, local elderly people, local disabled people into this network. And then also we connect the city people with the forest by opening the process of forest management. Okay, so it's a very simple project. Now this is the two projects next to each other. It's now exhibited in Venice Biennale, in Arsenale. So if you have a chance to go to Venice, please watch it. Yeah. So I'd like to conclude today's talk. So now today we are totally surrounded by the things which we don't know where are they from. I don't know which plastic come from, where this chair is made. I don't know this carpet, where it comes from. We don't know the walls, this gypsum wall, where it comes from. Oh, it's not gypsum. So, but we are totally trained as people who can live without knowing all these things. But if you go to the farming area, fisherman's village. They know most of things. Of course, they also use mobile phones. They also drive the car. They also have plastic boats. But still, they have a strong connection with their local resources. And then they know how to manage. They have knowledge and skills to work with local resources. And then I realized that we are so poor. The people living in the city are so poor in terms of the relationship, in terms of the network with things, especially with local resources. So I call this the living condition which is produced by in the city. It's industrial network, yeah, and city urbanization, institutionalized environment. And but the life in the fisherman's village, yeah, is more based on the ethnographical network. So since I worked as a I went there and then worked almost like an ethnographer. So then I found this ethnography can be very interesting opposition against the industrial network. So I now try to split industrial network and the ethnographical network as a kind of two important network which surrounds us, to imagine our self-portrait today, who we are, what we are doing, how we are living. And this is totally confused. Actually, we are totally confused type of confused human beings today. We don't know what is this, but it's because the process of industrialization, modernization in 20th century brought people from this network into this network, so like this. And then, of course, there are many frictions because people are trained or grown up within the ethnographical network, and then they are encountering with new things, and then maybe they were very much surprised, but sometimes they are pleased, sometimes they get angry. So this kind of collision also gave a strong energy for some creative people like architects to make a very interesting building. At the beginning of the 20th century or the mid-20th century, there are moments when the architect really produced very interesting buildings. And then this is a kind of a success story of 20th century architecture. And then nowadays, the industry still try to attract us to move forward into these directions, but we are totally contaminated by industrial network already. So I think we can't really experience the collision or conflict with new technologies. So it will be very smooth. We can go into direction in a very smooth way, maybe without knowing it. And then I think I can't really imagine this process can produce the interesting architecture. And then I think it's based on our experience to encounter, to meet fishermen in this damaged area of Tohoku. I found, okay, maybe we can do this direction also. We are totally contaminated by industrial network, but if we go into ethnographical network with effort, we can produce again this shock and conflict and collisions. And then it can be the resource to design interesting architecture again. So this is, and then anyway, our self-portrait is hybrid. It's ethnographical network. It's a hybrid of ethnographical network and industrial network. We are still living in this area. But the industry is always try to seduce us. No, you are already in this territory, and then you are going into this direction more. But then by this direction, there is a barrier always, because this industrial network use it's a global network, and then it's a large business, and it's dig out the grounds, and so you need more money big capital to achieve it. So it creates an indirect relation between people and nature. So it's produces a barrier between the resource. But in a sonographical network, it's local, small, and direct, so it's much easier to access to the resources. And then nowadays, I think from here, these hybrid conditions, we can try to resolve and punch out and lower this barrier through architectural project. So this is yes, this is a conclusion. Thank you very much.